Hi guys, welcome back to a great episode of Final Blade. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch something over right now, so let's continue on with the new part. So let's get this out of the way. All right. Prior to the show, he didn't really have any strong feelings about Metallica. He knew their music, had listened some before he lost his hearing, and some of it after. He liked them well enough, but if you had asked him prior to the concert what band he was most excited about, it would have been Avenged. What he's not expecting is to be blown away by their stage presence. Night falls by the time they take the stage. The stadium lights go out, leaving them in the blanket of soft darkness, and Lance drags him into the crowd. It nearly triple in size since Volby, but Lance doesn't push too deep, content to merely hang at the edges. The screens tower over the stage light up, being clearly visible the first time, now that the glare of the sun is no longer there. A scene plays, old in quality but easily recognizable from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Lance pulls out his phone to record it, and Key glances around, noticing that pretty much everyone else is doing the same. The stadium's dark, the horizon casts in a muted red glow to the west, the shadows of the floor and the bleachers lit up with the bright white glow of phone screens twinkling like stars. It's all beautiful. The screen goes off as the clip ends, and he turns back the stage in the brief seconds of tense silence before the music drops. It's loud, louder than the other two bands. He's pretty sure. He likes it. He can feel it. Shakes through his core, rumbles in his chest, sends fire through his veins. The screen light up again, flickering between images of distorted faces and brief images of the band members on stage. Above the stage, two balloons start to inflate. Distorted images decorating the sides, light splash, can feel the audience cheering around him, can feel their energy. Lance practically vibrating at his side. When he turns to look, he suddenly loses all interest in the stage. The lights flash across his bronze skin, highlighting and shattering the angles and curves in turn. Eyes His eyes are wide and bright, staring at rapt attention and framed by lashes that are far too long to be fair. The curve of his smile is intoxicating, even more so now that he knows what those lips feel like, what he tastes like. His neck is long and tempting, flowing down to the curve of his shoulder. Keith stares at the tendon, watches his Adam's apple bob as he sinks low. He wants to sink his teeth into his collarbones, where a hand holds up his phone, still recording. Part of his side is revealed through the absurdly long armholes of his muscle tank. He stares at the darker patch on his side, notes the thick trail of forget-me-nots that travel down his side, over his hip to disappear beneath his pants. Lance showed it to him once when he was showing off all his tattoos at the shop. Key wants to know how far those flowers trail, wants to run his tongue along them, trace them, making an experience that Lance can't forget. He's so busy staring that he doesn't realize the song is over until Lance is putting his phone away. He glances sideways and catches Keith's eye, a smile widening a notch and sending something sizzling down Keith's spine. But then there's fire on stage, and Keith's tension is snapped back. A lot of fire, fire swirling and whirling on screens, overlaying the video feed from of performers on stage. Wheels of fire. Fire dancing across the stage, fire occasionally blasting from around the stage. Keith's mouth falls open, awed, as Lance sidles up behind him, arms wrapping once more around his waist. He can feel the boy laughing. He leans back to him, immediately melting into his embrace, resting his hands on Lance's arms. Lance's own hands aren't hesitant at this time. They move across Keith's exposed midriff, playing lightly along his skin. He leans his head against Keith's, and Keith can feel the ruffle of his hair from Lance's breath as he sings. The flames of the stage are hot, but never to flare out, but it's not to compare to the heat coiling in his guts. The next few songs pass in a blur. The music vibrates through him, rattling his core, brain switching with drums. Lance sways behind him, head on it over his shoulder. His hands constantly move over his stomach, up and down his sides, rising up his rib before dipping back down, dancing teasingly from hip to hip and making him shudder out shaky breaths. Sometimes his hands roam to his hips and thighs, forcing him to sway him to the music. The whole time Lance is singing, to every song, he can feel it. He can feel the small, more subtle vibrations of his chest behind him. He can feel it in the huffs of air that breeze across his skin. He can feel it when Lance dips his head to ghost his lips over Keith's neck, his ear, his shoulder, mouth forming words that Keith doesn't know. He nods his head along, lets the music sway his body, leans his weight back against the solid form of Lance's chest. Jeez. He feels so good behind him. All hard edges and soft hands. There are several mosh pits that open up near them, but for one, he feels no real desire to join them. Not when he pressed to Lance like this. He has never really had any strong feeling about Metallica, but at this point, he's certain that he won't be able to listen to them without the memory of Lance's hands ghosting along his body. Halfway through the set, they find themselves toward the back of the floor, where a fair number of people have retreated to sit down rather than continue to stand near the edge. He sits with his legs spread and Lance nestled between them, leaning back against his chest and slouching up that his head can rest on Keith's shoulder. Keith's knees rise on either side of him, holding him in, while Lance stretched out in front of them. Keith's cheek rests on Lance's head. His hair is so gosh darn soft. It's ridiculous. And he even manages to smell nice after a day in the sun, which is just a plain witchcraft. Keith enjoys the feel of it against his face as he nods to the music. Lance snapped back was removed once Keith determined it was getting in the way, and is currently perched atop his own head for safekeeping. He usually doesn't like wearing hats like this, but it's Lance's hat, so yeah, he'll deal. His arms are around Lance's waist, and his hands idly play along with the drums against Lance's exposed stomach, while his tank has ridden up. He's not too familiar with Metallica's music, but he's been playing the drums long enough to pick up on patterns and make up his own when he gets lost. He's been drumming for years. It's been his outlet for years, and he sure as heck wasn't going to let losing his hearing take that away from him. He practiced. He learned. The position of muscle memory is drilled into his body, and he keeps it there. He can feel the beats when he plays. Knows how things feel to make them loud and soft. Likes to lose himself in his drum set when he can. Lance doesn't mind his temporary drum kit. In fact, if anything, when Keith told him what he's been doing, Lance just looked at him with surprise awe. He looked impressed, which only made Keith's chest flutter and fill with surprising shyness. Lance turns to a mess in so many different ways. Between songs, and when there's not heavy enough drum beat, he lets hands explore Lance, much like Lance has done with him. He finds his favorite thing to do is play with two studs on either of his hips. They're piercings he doesn't see a lot, and he's quickly realizing he likes them a lot. He wonders what it would be like to run his tongue over them, to hold Lance's hips so he can't squirm, make him shudder and gasp as Keith teased closer and closer. Overall, Keith is really enjoying Metallica. He can feel their music shaking through the air and vibrating the ground beneath him, and they fully utilize the resources available to make their show visually appealing. Different lighting effects for each song, different things on screens, sometimes fire displays, sometimes fireworks. Between that and Lance is never lacking for something to look at. Lance continues to sing, seemingly knowing all the words to every dang song. He doesn't mind. The way he can feel Lance's voice rumble in his chest is oddly soothing and incredibly cozy. Not to mention what he's doing with his hands. Ever since they sat down in this position, with Keith behind him and his hands now free, Lance has been signing. Whatever he sings, whenever there are lyrics, his hands are moving. Pretty subtle occasion is he can't find words as quickly as they come, but for the most part, he's actually a pretty dang good interpreter. His ASL voice is relaxed and with fluidity to it 60 years confidence and without the rigid atmosphere of those who learn in a classroom. The oddest part is Lance seemed to realize he's doing it. It's almost an afterthought. The pull of dance with his hands that he barely thinks about. When Keith had asked him about it between songs, and has just shrugged, gave a sheepish smile, and saying that he's usually signed songs for his sister when they're listening to music. So I thought he'd do that so Keith could look at the lyrics whenever he wanted to. It's incredibly endearing and ridiculously considerate and kind. It's far too freaking cute for Keith's poor heart to take. When Lance asked if Key wanted him to continue, he just buried his face and Lance did to hide the happy freaking grin he knew was on his face and squeezing tight. He had felt Lance's laughter, and he's come to the conclusion that it's one of the best feelings in the world. When 11 o'clock nears, Keith starts to feel nauseous. Nerves fight the butterflies in his stomach. His skin alternating between hot and cold. He doesn't want to leave, doesn't want his night to end. He's only gotten the taste of Lance, and it creates more like a man dying of thirst. He doesn't know if Lance is picking up on his nerves or if he's feeling some of his own, but he can feel him getting restless in his arms. He shifts, glancing up at Keith occasionally. He stops sighing. Instead of taking to running his hands over Keith's arms, squeezing his fingers. As the band starts up their first encore, Keith leans forward and presses his lips to Lance's ear, with his heart hammering against his ribs, blood ringing in his ears, and breath coming in the shallow huffs. He manages to whisper, "Come on." He can feel now ragged and hoarse his voice sounds. Lance shudders against him, hands tightening around his forearms, pressed so close he can feel him swallow hard. He nods, quickly and eagerly before signing a quick, "Okay." Relief and excitement hit him hard, flaring up and burning through his veins, melting away his anxieties and leaving his nerves all light. He still can't take a deep breath, but it's for much different reasons as something warm and fluttering seizes his chest. He's dizzy with it. He chuckles softly, feels Lance shudder against him. He tilts his head back onto Keith's shoulder, back arching in a way that's so beautiful. Keith obliges him by lowering his lips to the exposed length of his neck, kissing languidly before sinking his teeth in. He thought feeling Lance's laughter was the best feeling in the world, but he quickly realizes that Lance's moans are a really freaking close second. Right, that does it with this part. So the just starting with They're starting with the concert. What this concert about? Oh, sorry, the Metallica concert. This is their last concert before it starts again. They go through all the songs, but Kate has some really feelings to Lance. That yeah, there is some chemistry going with those on with those two. So yeah, he decided to finally make this big move and he wants to come home. Well, Lance wants Keith to come home with to his house, and that's where it clicks in. It finally clicks into where where it was supposed to be. You know, all the good stuff. And they're about to do the first encore, but oh boy, they had feelings for each other. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, that's it for this part. I'll see you in the next part. Okay? All right. So long.